Today is December 15th. I was originally hoping to get this sketchbook done around December 11th, but I was out of town for almost an entire month where I didn't really get to work in here too much. So the fact that I am a couple days late is not surprising. The fact that I got it done this year is chef's kiss. I'm so happy. I do have a couple of other tours of some of the stuff in this sketchbook, which I will link above. I went through the first half of the sketchbook about 3 months ago, and you can link it up here so you guys can go watch that. I also have another sketchbook tour of just the Inktober sketches, which we are going to look at again today. So we're going to look at the second half of this sketchbook today, and then in a couple of weeks I will put out another full sketchbook tour of the whole shebang. It'll be a much faster flip through of it, and I won't talk quite so much about each of the drawings. Alrighty, if you have watched my channel at all before, you will know that I typically work in an ELO sketchbook. These guys are about 112 pages long, and I am not a super fast sketcher, so it takes me a little bit of time to finish up one of these sketchbooks, about 6 months right now, because I'm doing about 18 pages per month. You can see I just kind of decorated the back of this a little bit with a little sticker that I had, and I've decorated the front, and there's another video showing how I decorated the front, and I will link that up above as well. And without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into it. We're going to start right in the middle of the sketchbook, and I don't remember exactly where I left off, so we're just going to start right here. This is, I think this is just a bridge that I found a picture of online, and I really liked it, so I decided to start drawing it. I like how it's turning out, but I just kind of got bored with it and decided to stop working on it because it just got boring to do, even though it's turning out really nicely. Over here, I was watching some other art YouTubers draw different things, and so I just decided to draw some different things that I saw them drawing and then just draw other things. Some of these things are from my imagination, and some of them are from reference. I think most of the stuff here is from imagination. I think maybe these rocks I did see a reference. And I was watching another art YouTuber draw a lion's eye, and I liked how they did it, so I was trying to do the same thing here and kind of recreate what they were doing there. And then just a bunch of random stuff. I was drawing mailboxes from my imagination. I believe that I did have a reference of a pigeon here, just a random airplane. Again, trying to recreate how some other artists were drawing different things. I don't like how this turned out. It doesn't look like their drawings. Over here it looks a little bit better. I think here I was flying somewhere, so I was just kind of drawing things that I saw on the airplane. And I don't remember where I drew this, but I want to say that this was before I hopped on my flight to come back home. I think this was when I was flying home from Milan for work. And then we get into Inktober. I've got this cute little backpack, and here is my first attempt at the magnifying glass, which I felt was a little bit wonky, and then I did it again down here, and I think this one turned out much better, and I decided not to ink it. And then over here, I'm playing with different ink pens that I own. Here was drawing binoculars from memory, just trying to figure out how they would look. And I think that they turned out okay. I actually like them a little bit better than these over here. These over here, I was using a lot more construction lines in order to get everything lined up right. But I think these just feel more alive. So I like these a little bit better, even though they are a little bit wonky. I really like this spread. I love this little wagon here. I just really like how that guy turned out. Some of the others were more lazy days, like this one. Yeah, not a whole lot to say here. And then some more stuff here. I kind of like this little journal here. I think that I could do a little bit better job with the pages to make it look a little bit more like a book, but overall not too bad. I was playing with different ideas here with kind of these different lined backgrounds that I've seen that I really like, trying to figure out how to make that work for me. I like some of the parts of this and other parts I don't. I really like the trees here. I think they turned out pretty cool. And I think the mountains in the background are reasonable. I really don't like the foreground. I love this map over here, and I decided not to ink it because I really didn't want to ruin it. And I am super proud, as I said before, of this compass rose because this was done completely freehand, including the circle. Here I was doing a video, which I'll try to remember to link above, on how to figure out where shadows would lie on different shapes of items. Just some more random stuff here. This was Rust and Expedition. I really like how both of these turned out. I kind of like this camera, even though it's a little bit wonky. Overall, I like how it looks. It definitely looks like an older style camera, definitely a film camera. It's got the little wind up thing here. This guy I drew mostly from imagination, and I like him as well. This one, it's fine. It's not my best work. I like the violin. I really like this one. This was definitely taken from an image that I found on Pinterest. There was a picture of this kind of scene, and I redrew it here. This was, I think I did actually look up the pyramids and tried to draw them, and it was just some photographs that someone had taken. And then I decided that I really liked having a prompt list in my sketchbooks. For this particular list, I didn't go down like in order. It was just I would look at the list and go, oh, I'm going to draw this one today. I'm going to draw that one today. And that was really nice. It really helped me figure out what to draw without sitting there and scrolling forever and ever on Pinterest or something like that, trying to figure out what to draw. So next little bit of the sketchbook is me kind of working my way through this list. I really love this spread. It is kind of got that fantasy feel, which I love. This sword hilt, I am in love with it. At first, I didn't color in the background dark, but then I decided to go ahead and color it in dark, which really like brought it to life. I'm super happy that I did that. This guy, I was just trying to draw like a giant and make him up out of my head. I think he's got kind of a baby face. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. Originally, I wasn't super happy with this loot, but now that I look back at it, I think it's not too bad. So overall, really like this spread. This was some more of that video that I talked about earlier about figuring out where shadow shapes lie. And this is, I think, what I drew during the video. And this is where I started my line exercises, my line control with Zentangles exercises. And as you can see, I started off by drawing much larger Zentangles because I thought it would give me more of an opportunity to kind of practice that line control, and it probably does. But I didn't like how much room it was taking up in my sketchbook because overall, I'm not a huge fan of Zentangles. That's not the kind of art that I want to do, so I didn't want to fill up my sketchbook with Zentangles. In the future, I may actually end up having a separate Zentangle sketchbook so that I can have a way to practice my line work over there without filling up my normal sketchbook with a bunch of Zentangles. So yeah, you can see more of the same thing, and then I was still kind of sneaking in prompts that I found on that other list in some of the open spaces here. When I first drew this wolf, I thought it looked a little bit funky. I am happier with it now. It's still like these feet. What's going on there? But overall, I'm not super unhappy with it. I was trying to think about what I wanted to do for a painting that I did. And again, there's a video on this painting. This is my Burning Dandelion painting. And these were just some other ideas of what I might be able to do for a present for White Elephant gift exchange at work. More Zentangles. These are more things from the prompt list. I found a picture of this snake online and I drew him. I really like how this turned out. I like kind of more of the kind of sharper edges. Not that they're sharp, but not quite as smooth of edges on him. And I like the shadow shapes and everything on here. So I'm really happy with this snake. The bell turned out better than I thought it did. This is okay. It's supposed to be a feather mask with some horns. I think I was a little bit lazy on the horns, and then I was just drawing some kind of ghostly thing. I don't like the head. I like some of this down here, but the head is just kind of not what I had in mind, but I couldn't really pull that out of my head to put onto the page. Kind of more playing with how I might want that dandelion painting to go. More Zentangles, more Zentangles. Decided to draw a horse. Again, still working on that prompt list. So just random stuff from the prompt list, which is why it feels very random because some of the things on there felt a little bit random, but they were all kind of more in like a fantasy theme type of thing. So Just stuff. I'm really liking this skull. I like how this turned out a lot. More Zentangles. Nothing terribly exciting here. And this is another spread that I like a lot. This was not from the prompt list. I just wanted something to fill out that space. And this was also not from the prompt list. Again, just wanted something to fill up the space. This I just kind of gave up on. I was trying to do like a festival or something like that, and I hadn't planned any of it out. I was just trying to pull it out of my head, and that just wasn't happening. So I kind of just gave up on it and said, no, this is not going to work out the way it is. So just left it be, because I don't want to spend my time on a bunch of sketches that aren't going to work out, because it's not enjoyable for me, and I want to enjoy my time in my sketchbook. This is the final page of all the Zentangle work. This is all the rest of the Zentangles that I did for the 30 days. And then here is my final line control test. And like I said in the other video, I do think that my line control with my pen improved somewhat, not drastically, but there's only so much improvement that you can really expect in 30 days anyway. And overall, I think that my line control is pretty reasonable, except for this particular angle is a little bit awkward for me. And drawing kind of the same curve shape again and again is a little bit more difficult for me. And then I was almost out of those prompts. So I started having to think of other things to draw. So you're going to see a lot of colored items in the sketchbook from here forward, because I got out my acrylic markers and was playing with those. This is a picture that I took when we went to Ireland that I was recreating here. This is a little shell that I have just over here somewhere that I pulled out and was drawing. And this is actually using the markers to kind of color that in. I didn't have the right colors in either of these. I was just making do with the colors that I had. Overall, I think it turned out pretty reasonable. And then a lot of the things that you're seeing here in color are things that I found on Pinterest that somebody else created that I am just recreating myself. I really liked this kind of run down castle tower here. This was from Word Valley Pressed, which is the best I could find of the creator of this. I do see a lot of images just like this on their Pinterest page, but I couldn't find who the actual artist was. So I do apologize. If you are the artist, please let me know, and I will certainly try to give you credit here. This is kind of finishing up some more of those prompts. This was, again, another recreation of a poster from Pinterest. I was just looking for something that I wanted to do, and I thought, hey, let me just do like a poster, that'd be fun. And this is a poster that someone did, and I couldn't figure out like who actually did it, but it was the Darlington Art Festival. I did just redraw that just to try and give credit to whomever created this. So if you created it, let me know. This one was a painting by Ruth Wilshaw. I really like her stuff. It's got this nice kind of fantasy cozy feel, and I liked it, and I liked the shape of it. Again, I was a little bit limited in terms of my ability to recreate it because I was using the Arteza acrylic marker set, which I only have like I think 28 or something like that. So my colors are fairly limited, so it made it a little bit difficult to recreate some of these things, but I was doing the best with the markers that I had. And then here I was just doing more playing with the markers. I kind of like these clouds. These, my husband really likes these kind of fantasy bubblegum clouds. This is pretty decent. The one thing that I did find is drawing with a color on top of black works to a certain extent. Everything is a little bit more dulled and muted. But overall it was fine. I was just playing with different ways of kind of blending the markers here. You can kind of go over top of a marker. Obviously, I think after it dries, it's not really going to work. But if you're kind of going over a darker marker with a lighter one, when it's still a little bit wet, you can get a nice blending. And I was just working with kind of that lined blending here, which, oops, I'm bumping the camera, which I think works better on camera than it does in person. I think that if I were going to do this again, I needed to be a little bit more regular with my spacing of my lines on here in order for it to look good. There's a little Christmas tree just from my imagination, and I saw someone draw some axolotls in kind of this swimming position, and I decided to go ahead and do that myself. I like how he looks on this layout. I was originally planning on coloring him in, but I liked him in pencil here, just to kind of break up the saturation of color that was on this spread. Here I was really just playing with all kinds of different things here. So I was trying to figure out, with the markers that I have, how would I be able to recreate that kind of water look where it's very kind of illustrative water. And so I was playing with a bunch of different colors, and I think this was my most successful combination. And then I drew this little koi fish underwater, and I think he turned out pretty decent. I'm not 100% happy with how the water looks over top of him, but overall I think it's pretty good. And then I saw a design like this at the airport. I have to look and see what festival it was for. It was for some festival, and I was just recreating that design. This, I also found a picture online. This was from Trophin's AL, I believe it was, online. Again, the colors were really nice, and I was going to color this in with my markers, and I decided not to. I liked the line sketch, and I decided to just leave it. And then I was just playing with different patterns and just different things with my markers. This one was interesting. I wasn't sure which order to put them down in order to get kind of the really light purple on one side and the dark purple as a shadow. So here I laid down the dark first and then was laying the light on top. And like I said earlier, the markers will blend together a little bit. So I came in a little bit quickly with the lighter marker, and it was definitely blending in. So I got more of a mid-tone here. Whereas on these two, I actually laid down the light first and then the dark over top. Still about the same timing, but the dark is less likely to kind of blend into the light. It is more likely to just kind of sit on top and just be its own color. So if you're going to use alcohol markers like the Arteza, I assume that a lot of them are going to work in the same sort of way, where it's Ardex markers. Oh my gosh. If I said Arteza the rest of the time, I meant Ardex markers. I apologize. But anyway, if you're using the acrylic markers like those, I assume that they're going to work in the same way, whereas you would want to put your light color down first and then your dark color on top, or make sure that you wait for the colors to dry completely before you lay another color on top. I do know that when I was working on some of these back here, in order to get like this color, I laid down one color and then laid another color on top in order to kind of get it muted down a little bit, because some of the markers are less opaque than others. So if you lay a less opaque color over top of a more opaque color, you can change that color. You can kind of mix them on the page without actually blending them. So that's what I did here, and that's kind of what ended up happening here. Just more random doodles. I was thinking about the cover for my next sketchbook here. What do I want to do on it? Because I was planning on using the Ardex markers in order to color it in. And that's where this page comes in. This is a whole bunch of different design ideas for my next sketchbook, because I'll be starting that pretty soon. And so I'm going to need to put a new cover on there. So lots of different design ideas here. Again, just kind of playing with those markers just because I had them there and they're kind of fun to play with. And I made this another little pine tree that has a little bit of snow on it. He's a little bit Charlie Brownie, not quite so full, but I like him. And then scrolling through Pinterest to try and get ideas of other things to draw. And I saw this tea kettle, so I decided to draw that. And I saw a little cottage that looked kind of like this. Theirs was way better, but I decided to draw my own little cottage with that one as inspiration. Mine looks very different, but I definitely used a drawing that I found online as inspiration. And then I was working on some more ideas for, again, the front cover, and then some ideas for the first page. I kind of ran out of ideas here, and then on a whim, I just decided to draw this red and black butterfly on this page, because this was actually the last page that I filled in the sketchbook. There are a few more pages to look at though, so let's go ahead and keep going. I was brainstorming what I want my art goals to be for next year, because I do like to set some art goals for myself, because it does kind of help motivate me in order to do some things that I might not do otherwise. So this is a lot of different ideas here. I haven't decided on which ones in particular I am going to take on, because I'm not going to take on all of these because I think that's too many. This is from a video where I was trying out some oil pencils. They are colored pencils that are oil based rather than wax based, and that is the drawing from there, and I will try to remember to link that one up above as well. And then the last couple of pages are really not terribly interesting, but I did find this from Kira in the Forest. It was this Field Guide February in 2024. I found it well after February. I didn't actually follow this. I may end up looking for her in 2025 to see if she puts out like another Field Guide February, because that might be really fun and interesting to do. So I kind of came up with a skill tree for kind of improving my ability to recognize and represent different values in my artwork. And so this was my skill tree. It starts down here and works its way up. I ended up not doing hardly anything with this at all, and so this just kind of ends up being just a relic that really didn't get used. And the last page, as always, is just a page for me to just test out different things. These are skill pillars. This is kind of where I figured out which one I wanted to work on. And yeah, not a whole lot left here. This is a sticky note that had some exercises that I put in the front. And in the pocket isn't anything terribly interesting. This is another prompt list that I may put into my next sketchbook. Another set of things I was going through, like the types of things that I like to draw or I like to see. This was a cute little artwork that was included when I ordered some prints from Cat Print. I like them. They're relatively cheap, actually, for getting prints made. So if you do want your art prints made, they are relatively inexpensive to get your stuff done, and the quality was really good. And then, oh yeah, I was brainstorming what that value tree was going to look like, that scale tree was going to look like here. And then just the ruler that comes in the ELO sketchbook, and I think there might have been two of them in here. Let's see, there's another one in here. Come on, there it is. Yeah, there were two of them in there. For whatever reason, the sketchbook came with two. And that is the end of that. This was from a sketch box, and this was from a random person at a game convention that I went to. And this is actually from Steve Jackson Games. If you know, you know. So that was the second half of my 7th sketchbook. This sketchbook is now complete. I finished this on December 17th, I think it was. Let me see. December 15th, sorry. December 15th, it is now done. It took me about 6 months to complete. I will be posting a full sketchbook flip through in a couple of weeks so you can see the whole thing. But like I said, other parts during the video, I will be linking other parts, other sketchbook tours of this sketchbook, the first half, as well as the sketchbook tour of the Inktober sketches in here above and probably down below in the description. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to give it a like. Think about subscribing, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.